Hello everyone, my name is Dustin with Mars Hill Technology, and today we're going to be talking about clearing the runway. This is week 2 of 4 of mastering your smartphone. We're going to talk about how a slow phone is almost never broken, it's just full. And today we're going to clear the clutter and get yourself ready for takeoff. As you know, we've been using an airplane as a reference for this series, and today we're going to be using a runway as a reference for storage on your actual phone. So what's the big idea? Well, a slow phone is usually a full phone, not a broken one. When it comes to your storage, you want to have a little bit of space on your phone. If you don't, your phone's going to start slowing down, apps won't install, photos won't save. You might be taking a video and it won't save it'll stop the video because it doesn't have any more room on your phone. And you might even have an update that actually stops mid download because you don't have that room for it. So we're going to be talking about freeing up some information on your phone, and that way you have a little room for all this data to be able to do, because we want to be able to use your phones. So most phones slow down because they're packed, not just because they're old. If your device is 5 to 7 years old, you probably want to be upgrading your phone. Just as technology increases or becomes more advanced, you need more RAM or CPU to be able to actually process that. And also, as data gets easier to transmit, or not easier per se, but available for doing larger data transfers, you want a phone that has more storage space because that allows more data to be put on your phone. When it comes to photos and videos, they're almost always the number one space hog on your phone. So that's the first place that we're going to be really looking at to save some space on your phone. So 20 minutes of cleanup today can make your phone feel brand new. So that's what we want to do today. So 6 moves to clear your runway. We're going to be reading the gauge. This is the gauge you see what's full or what your storage is actually being used for on your actual phone. We'll talk about lifting those photos, saving those photos, maybe bring them to the cloud or a physical device such as a hard drive or on a computer. And then we'll talk about offloading apps, removing apps you never open, and what to offload or to actually delete off your phone. We'll talk about clearing the junk that's on your phone. Might be caches from the internet, downloads, old message attachments. We'll read the recommendations when it comes to like these gauges, what we actually need to be freeing up. We'll look at maybe those auto tasks that you can use to actually free up your space. We'll talk about speed tune-ups. We'll discuss 2 honest speed tips and then one that's kind of a myth. But before we do any of this, one important safety rule before you touch anything is always make sure you back up your device first. It's very important. So you want to make sure that you back up your device first, whether it be the iCloud or if you go physically and you do it on your computer. We want to back up first. You want to practice the 3-2-1 rule. 3-2-1, if you don't know what that is, just Google it. It'll pop up exactly what 3-2-1 means for you, and you need to practice that when it comes to any of your sensitive data. But we'll cover exactly how at the end. Nothing we're going to delete today should be your only copy, so make sure you have multiple copies. So what almost full does to your phone? So you might see these warning signs whenever your phone is full. Your apps might freeze or close on their own. Your camera might not want to save some of those pictures or videos that you're doing. It'll just abruptly stop whenever you're trying to take a video. And this is almost always your storage is almost full. The pop-up will pop up, and updates might even fail halfway. So those are all warning signs that your storage is full. If you're on an iPhone, it's going to make very apparent that your phone is full. It'll say your phone's out of storage. Please upgrade to iCloud, to make sure your storage is. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to choose a healthy target. So we're going to aim to keep at least 10 to 50% of your storage free. That way you have room to be able to download these big important updates, get apps, do data, pictures and videos when you need it. So make sure that we're practicing good hygiene when it comes to clearing some of the data. So the good news today is you don't have to guess what's taking up that room. The phone's going to completely show you when we're talking about these bar graphs and these little messages whenever it pops up. So it'll show you line by line, and that's going to be our first stop here today. So before we start doing that, this is a little visual of what's actually taken up on your phone. We got a common hard drive space, which is 128 these days. And as you can see here, we have 93% of our hard drive is full. And we're going to look at some of the common culprits for these. Maybe offloading some of those photos. If you got 2,000 photos and videos, which is a common thing these days, where we have everything saved, whether it be screenshots, 20-year-old photos still on there where we've migrated and migrated and migrated. We have all these photos that are collecting and getting more and more space on it on your phone. You might want to go through there and delete it or just offload them. So if you do either or of those tasks, deleting some of the old pictures or screenshots or offloading, that'll save you 22 gigabytes sometimes on your phone. You'd be surprised what that can do. And you can just take those and put them in your cloud, or you can connect a external hard drive or connect it to your computer and just make sure you transfer those files over. Remember, you want to have multiple copies whenever you're doing any kind of sensitive data or pictures or something, because you don't want those completely gone forever. So make sure you have in two different spaces, whether it be two different media types, whether it be a hard drive or computer, but make sure you have multiple copies. You want 3 copies in two different places, and one preferably not in your house. So maybe at neighbors, or you can use the cloud environment for that part, just in case there's like some sort of water or fire damage in your house. So you want to practice that 3-2-1 rule. Three copies of the data, two different types, media types, and then one offsite. One that, so if something happens, it's not completely gone. So practice that. We want to talk about deleting those 5 unused apps. Just look at 5 apps, and you'd be surprised. That might save you 8 gigabytes if you delete 5 unused apps that you no longer need on your phone. So if you did that, it saves you up even more. As you can see, we've already saved pretty significant with 39 gigabytes off of our original phone's 128 gigabytes. So that's giving you plenty of room now to start working on. So we're doing pretty good. The next one is, these are 2 small ones, but it's worth doing, but clearing your cache and downloads. You can do this in the settings. Some privacy built browsers automatically do this by default, but you don't want to go in there into browser settings and look up. You can usually search for settings at the top and look up caches and downloads. You'd be surprised if you go in there and clear your cache, which caches just help your websites load a little faster. If you went in there and deleted those, you'd save another 6 gigabytes just easy doing that. And then when you delete photos on your device, sometimes it just puts it in a recently deleted photo folder. So you want to go in there and sometimes just delete those. That'll give you 5 gigabytes right there. Those few settings right there saved a significant amount of space on our phone, and it's basically brand new when it comes to your storage. So that's a good thing to start working on. So our stop 1, we're going to talk about reading the gauges and seeing what's actually used on your iPhone or Android. And you can access these settings for iPhone here. You can go to Settings, General, and then go to iPhone Storage, and you'll see a little color bar pop up in that space, and it'll talk about what Apple's using, what apps are using certain amount of information, and it's an easy way to look at what's being taken up on your actual iPhone storage. Android does the same thing, but it's under Settings and Storage. It'll tell you exactly what's taken up, and there'll be a little button there. It says like free up space there that helps you start getting some of that space freed up on your device. So these are great ways to start off to see what's going actually on. So whatever sits on the top of the list, so you'll give you a few items here, is usually the place where it's best used to actually save some space. A lot of us don't want to delete photos and videos. It requires a little bit more of a work for us to even back those up. But these are the top culprits for it, and that's where you want to kind of spend most of your time. But you can go down the list and just try to find whatever space you need. But once again, you want to keep about 10 to 15% of your phone free at any time. That way, if you have something important or whatever, you're able to actually download it, and you don't have to go through this when it's sometimes stressful. So what's the next stop? Our next stop is going to actually lift your phones to the cloud or actually put it on a physical device. So if you're using an iPhone, you can go onto the iClouds and you can go to optimize iPhone storage, and you can put the full quality originals, you can put those in the iCloud, and you can get the smaller ones, which is compression when it comes to photos and videos, and you can do that on your phone. My suggestion is, if you're not actively using your photos or videos constantly, just put them in the cloud, because you can access the cloud as long as you have cellular data or on Wi-Fi. So there's no reason to have them on your actual device unless you're actually using them for some purpose and you're needing them from offline mode. So it's best to just go ahead and put them on either a hard drive or using the iCloud. You can use a hard drive by simply plugging the cable into the bottom of or where you like charge your phone in the port, and actually using a file app when it comes to iPhones, and you can transfer your photos or videos off of your phone onto that hard drive. Just remember, just like anything, you practice that 3-2-1 rule and make sure you have multiple copies in case something happens, whatever. Android, you can do the same thing. You can go to Google Photos and you can free up space. You can move these to Google's their cloud, Google Drive, and that'll allow you to free up your space on your Android as well there. So you want to offload is not a delete if you're doing the setting when you do an offload, whether it comes to your apps or whatever. These are still your photos. They're just getting stored online, and they're not taking room up on your hard drive on your iPhone. So if you're offloading to those things, you're not deleting them by any means. You're just moving them to different safe space. So that's an important thing to do. If you hit the delete button, you're going to delete the photos. So make sure that you're moving the file or offloading them. So step 3, this is clearing up your apps that you might not ever open anymore. On iPhone, I'm pretty sure it's by default, but it has an option for offloading. And what that means is when iPhone gets to a certain storage capacity, it's going to start deleting apps that you no longer use or haven't used for years, and it's going to try to do that to save you some space. So it's good to do that. You can go into settings, general, and iPhone storage, and you can actually go in and offload those apps one by one if you wish. But the best thing to do is if you're not using the app anymore is just delete it. Delete it off your phone. There's no reason it to be on or uninstall it. You don't need to be on your phone if you're not using it anymore. But if you're just trying to save a little bit of temporary room and you're just trying to make your way before you buy a new device, you can offload. That saves a little bit there. Androids, like I said, they do more of an uninstall or delete option, which you can always download the app back in the future. Just if you're playing something such as like a game, I've got it here listed, but games and shopping apps. Games are really important because you want to make sure that it's some sort of iCloud instance, like it's either saving it into a cloud environment, iCloud or Google Play, just to be safe that you don't lose any progression when it comes to that. So that way you know that it's saved and good to go, because a lot of times you can't actually offload game data, so you have to use some sort of cloud platform for that. So that's a good thing. But the good general rule for this, if you haven't opened it in a year, you won't miss it. It's true. If you haven't used it in that long, you're probably not going to need it. So, and you can always download it back again. So step 4 is we're going to be clearing the hidden junk. You'd be really surprised about the hidden junk on your phone. And a lot of people don't know about browser caches. So when you're on your phone and you go on your browser with Safari or Google, and you go onto the website and it has an image or a video or something of that nature, it's going to hold that into a cache, so that when you go to that website again, it doesn't have to try to get that data again. It's cached on your phone to make it a little bit faster for you to actually be able to get that image or view that website again. So that's what caches are, and you can go in there in the settings and you can clear that. You can search that setting. There's always a search bar, and Safari and in Chrome you can search for cache and you can go and delete it. If you're using a privacy-based browser, they usually do this by default. Download folders. A lot of times we'll download something, we're working on something, and we never go back and delete that file. You can always move those to the iCloud or your iCloud or cloud platform, Google Drive, or put that on a hard drive or whatever. We're sending it an email, but a lot of times we're looking and trying to open a PDF and we download it on our phone and we forgot about it, and it's 4 or 5 years of that on your phone. So go in there and kind of delete some of those old things. A really big one is message attachments. All those videos and pictures you're sending to your friends and everything, if you're not deleting those conversations or having a setting turned on, like I have a setting in iPhone that deletes my messages after a year in attachments. If you don't do that, you're going to have a lot of gigabyte usage based on videos and things that you've sent over the years. If you have 3 years of text messages and all those little chats and pictures you sent, those are all taking photos just like it would be, or taking space just like it would be in a photo album. So you want to go in there and check it. On iPhones, the iPhone storage screen lists review large attachments. So when you're in that bar graph, you can see review large attachments, and it'll identify what is actually taking a lot of space up on your actual phone. So it's good to go in there and actually delete these, and you'd be surprised. It could be easy gigabytes back on your phone by just doing those message attachments. So step 5, these are some simple things you can do. What that free up space really means when it's actually giving you a prompt to free up some space. When you're looking at those offload and unused apps, this is a good one to just, it's a safe check mark that you can do. This will remove those apps you ignore, but you keep the data and icon on your actual iPhone. It's reversible anytime, so it's a good way to get some free space really quick. Optimize photos. This is an easy way to do, to compress files and photos just so you have an actual image still on there without having to delete it. This has been a huge thing in technology for a long time, is just compressing files, whether it be videos or pictures, just to take up less space. In today's environment with hard drives being so expensive, it's becoming a very common thing to try to compress files and everything. The best thing to do is either keep your full ones in the cloud and delete them off your phone, or make those smaller copies on the phone. That's a big one. Like I said, you can always do the physical and put it on an external hard drive, or connect your phone to your computer and put it on there and everything. The auto delete old conversations, I just told you that I have my setting on 1 year. You just have to be really careful. If you have something that you want to be keeping on your phone, you want to make sure that you're either backing those up, or saving the files or videos, whatever it is that you're trying to keep in those conversations. That way it doesn't get deleted. So be really careful and read it carefully before you do that, because that can permanently remove text and attachments over after a year. And like I said, I use mine just so I don't have to go in there and do that every so often. But you want to make sure, if you're keeping all your stuff in conversations, that's a bad way to do it. But just be really careful before you toggle that on. So a good rule is the green light. Anything that moves files, and this is a green light for you to act on. Anything that moves files to the cloud, that's always okay to do, because then you'll have it in the cloud at least. You got to pause anything that says delete. So if it says delete when you're doing it, and it gives you a bunch of notifications, just take a second to see if you're actually needing to delete that file, or if you want to actually move it. So make sure it's backed up. Just like I told you, you want to be backing up your information. So this is our last stop here, and this is 2 real speed tips, and one kind of to not ignore. And if you want a little bit of speed when it comes to your device, you can restart your device. This is the common first step in IT. Did you restart your computer? Did you restart your device? If you simply just restart it once a week, this will help a lot when it comes down to slowdowns. It's the easiest thing to do, because sometimes processes, things become in a stale state, which means that it just stops working. Maybe something happened, it got interrupted or whatever, and it just sits there hanging, and it causes you not to be able to do something. So the best thing to do is just to restart. That's the easy way to clear out some of the backlog in your phone, or some stale states, and allows it to free it up to get into work. And also keep that space free when it comes to your storage. Everything we talked about today and everything, you want to have a little bit of headroom when it comes to giving a little bit of space on your phone. That way you can download updates, which is important. You'd be surprised how many people go a year without updating their phone, and they have so many vulnerabilities in that time period. So make sure you're updating your phone and keeping that space good. This is a big myth that a lot of people think, like, I can get a RAM cleaner or a speed booster app, and those are mostly snake oil. If you don't know what snake oil is there's merchants back in the day that would sell snake oil, and it would cure ailments and stuff that you had in your life. And you have a busted knee, drink some snake oil and it'll be all good. And that's the same thing with these RAM cleaners and speed boosters. A lot of times people download these or even pay for them, and they don't do much. They might delete a little bit of stuff here and there or something for you, or identify something, but they're not going to really help you. Doing those steps we talked about, clearing up the data on your actual computer phone, going through there and deleting that information is going to be the best return on your investment of your time, versus trying to use these miracle apps and stuff like that. So they constantly, if anything, they slow your device down. So you want to skip those whenever you're looking for these magic, RAM cleaners or speed boosters. So this is a little reassurance. So things you can stop doing now and everything. So a few cleanup habits people pick up that don't actually help, and you can let these go. Force closing every app. We talked about this last week, but a lot of apps, they stop or pause your app in a state, so it doesn't take resources. So force closing your app, after you use the app, you don't have to do that anymore if you have a modern phone. Clearing your cache every single day, this is actually going to slow your device. So after years, yes, you definitely want to go in there and clear your caches, but you don't have to do it after every day or whatever to do it. It's actually going to make your phone, your browser actually load it once more, and it's going to slow it down. Installing those cleaner apps, we just talked about those, snake oil. You don't need that, especially with iPhone. iPhone has a really good software system, and it's really good at being intuitive when it comes to actually freeing up things and giving you notice what's going on and everything. So you don't need to install any cleaner apps. That's not a thing these days. Back in the day, that kind of helped you, but now they're very optimized, whether it be your phone or your computer. Deleting photos one at a time to save space. Yes, you can do that, and it will save you space and everything. But the best thing to do is just migrating those to an external device, or actually putting them in the cloud. So offload them is way faster than trying to do them one by one. So that's a good thing to think about. So clean it up once a season chore, so you don't have to do it like daily. You do a few. You don't have to do it all at once. Maybe go through and move, your photos one weekend, and then the next week you can look at your apps, or maybe just a doctor's office or something. You're waiting on your appointment. Go in there and just delete things. You don't need screenshots from 2 years ago unless they're important still. If not, today with technology and AI, you can just ask AI to make you a note and put it into some sort of file you can search later. So but if you really need that, keep it on your phone. But a lot of these things you can do systematically. You can do them one at a time over a period of a year, and you can get a lot of your space back. But the best place to start is your photos and videos. So before you delete anything, like we said, it's very early part of the class here, is you back it up. Make sure you back it up. The golden rule for any kind of cleanup or any kind of major uninstalling or deleting of sensitive information is back it up. That way, if something happens, you can get another copy, bring that copy back over if something happens with that copy. So the easiest version for iPhone is using iCloud, or you can use Google One. If you have Google One on Android, you can do that, and you can back it up on the Google Drive. You want to do this for your photos, contacts, your messages. If you need any of that, you can do it turn it on once, and then you're good. That way you have a backup. A lot of people, they just rely on their phone, and I don't know why people think that's smart. The easiest to lose and to destroy item in their whole entire possession, and they don't even have any kind of backup solution for it. That just doesn't make sense. You want to make sure that you're backing these up. So the peace of mind version, like I said, is using a managed cloud backup is the best thing to do. If you're tech savvy and you know how to use cloud backups and everything, go ahead and do that. But as a company, we offer managed cloud backup solutions where we make sure that your cloud backups are actually being backed up. A lot of people, they'll set up iCloud or Google and then never even check it out. So you want to make sure that you do that. And this is an important thing to think about. But is this backed up? Is that makes you nervous? You're not alone. It's the most common question we get as an IT firm. And we can take that worry off your plate. Like we said, when it comes to managed cloud backups, we deal with that on a daily basis with clients, and we help navigate them through that. So if you're ever worried about you're not downloading or backing up data correctly, that's something easy that we can fix for you and everything. So before our next Tuesday lesson here, just pick one of them and just take your time in doing that one task, whatever. So we went over 6 today. Just pick up one. Maybe open your storage screen and note your number. How full are you? When you looked at that bar graph, how full are you on the bar graph? If you're 10 to 15%, you're pretty good. If you got 20, 30%, you're doing really well. So that's awesome. So you want to be looking at that. You want to go in there and choose and turn on iCloud photos or Google backups when it comes to making sure your pictures and videos are safe. So make sure you have some sort of backup solution on that. And like I told you just a minute ago, we're happy to help you with that if you need it. You can offload or delete those apps that you don't need. So go in there and just delete a few. You can delete 3, 5, whatever it is, anything that you're not using or maybe got migrated from an old computer. So that's a good thing to do it. You can confirm a backup is running before you delete anything important too. You always want to make sure you confirm a backup before you try to delete anything. So what's coming up next Tuesday? We're going to look at who's got clearance. So we're going to be looking at apps, permission, and privacy. So that's a big one for today, or for next Tuesday. That's a good one to join. So make sure you like and subscribe for it, and we'll look at it from there. So thanks for joining us today, and if we can help you with anything, we do smartphone assistance. We can do that over the phone, Zoom, Google Meet. Happy to help you with that. Even if you're not in our area in Western North Carolina, we're happy to do that remotely for you. We do residential cloud backup. I talked to you about that a little bit. We also do it for businesses if you're a business owner. But if you just need a little bit of help, we partner with a cloud platform to be able to do that, and we do the managed part for it. So we set it up, make sure it's monitoring that you're actually backing up your data, and we actually help practice with you too when it comes to if an event happens, we can always go back and get that data for you and everything like that. So that's a good thing about managed cloud backup. You got another person helping you with that instance and everything. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll have the next lesson for next Tuesday. So thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.